In this video, we'll look at how you can use referenced files and offline edits in Maya in a similar way to referenced models and deltas in Softimage. As with referenced models, referenced files share the idea of a master or source object in a separate file that is referenced in other scenes. When you modify the source object, the changes show up in every scene where it's referenced. Referenced files are useful when you're collaborating on a project because different members of the team can work on different aspects of an object at the same time. You can use any Maya scene file as a source for referenced files, but one element that lends itself well to referencing is an asset. For information on creating assets, see the video Sharing Models Using Assets in Maya on this channel. In this scene, we've created an asset containing our zombie character. To keep things neutral, there's no animation on his rig because he'll be the source model that will be referenced in other scenes. The zombie asset is saved in a reference folder that we created in our project just to keep the source file separate from our other assets. As well, we saved it in a Maya ASCII file so that it can be edited in a text editor if there are any problems that occur when referencing it. You can, of course, also use Maya binary files as sources for referenced files. Now we're ready to create a reference to the zombie asset in this graveyard scene by choosing File, Create Reference, or pressing Ctrl+R. Make sure to create a namespace for it, using either the file name, which is the default, or select this option and enter a custom string to prefix the nodes in the referenced files. We'll use the namespace CHA to signify that our zombie is a character. Then we'll select the zombie asset file. Once you create the referenced file, you can see in the outliner that there is the referenced asset as well as a reference node. The reference node is what maintains the link between the source file and its reference in this scene. You can access many commands for the referenced file here by right-clicking it and opening the reference menu. But you can also open the reference editor to see all information about that referenced file, where it's coming from and its namespace, and also to manage it. We'll add more referenced files to finish dressing our scene with some trees and more tombstones. You can either choose File, Create Reference, and then select a file, or click the Add icon and do the same thing. If a source file was changed while your scene was closed, the referenced file is automatically updated the next time you open your scene, as you can see with this tombstone. If the source file was changed while your scene's open, you can click the Reload button or this icon to update the selected referenced file. The source file must keep the same path and file name to be reloaded. Be careful when updating the source file that you don't change certain things such as group or node names. For example, if somebody has been animating the zombie's rig controls in another scene, then reloads an updated source whose node names have changed, any animation on those nodes won't work anymore. Let's duplicate this tombstone by choosing Reference, Duplicate Reference, or by clicking the duplicate icon. Notice that a number is appended to each duplicate's namespace to keep it from overwriting the other instances of the referenced file. Even though the duplicate referenced files have different namespaces from the original referenced file, they're all updated when the source file changes. You may also want to simply create instances of a referenced file, as we'll do with this other tombstone. Choose Edit Duplicate Special, or press Ctrl-Shift-D and select Instance as the geometry type. As with duplicates, if you change the source model for the referenced file and then reload it, the instances also update because they have a relationship with the referenced file. If you decide that you want to keep a referenced file as a real object or asset in the scene, select the referenced file and choose File, Import Objects from Reference. The referenced file disappears and the object is now part of your scene. If you have many referenced files in a scene, you can temporarily unload any unnecessary ones. For example, we don't need to have all these tombstones in the scene while we're working on the zombie, so we can unload them by unchecking their boxes or by clicking the Unload icon. Unloading suspends the connection between the source file and the referenced file and unloads the referenced file's contents from the scene's memory. To reload the file and restore the connection, just check the box or click the Reload icon. Of course, you can always remove a referenced file completely from a scene by choosing Reference, Remove Reference, or by clicking the Remove icon. Be aware that you can't undo this action. Another workflow you might find useful to lighten your scene is to use a proxy of a referenced file to temporarily simplify complex geometry. This increases the interaction speed while working in your scene, and you can use the proxy to continue working with an asset. First, you need to create a simplified version of the asset, such as our lower resolution version of the trees. Back in our graveyard scene, let's replace the tree with its proxy by choosing Reference, Replace Reference, and selecting the low-res version of the trees. This is an easy way to simply swap any referenced file, but you can also use the options in the proxy menu to create a proxy set of several different files among which you can switch. So we've loaded all the referenced files for our scene, and now we want to animate the zombie. To make sure that we don't accidentally change any of the other referenced files, we can lock them. Any changes you make to a referenced file are stored in its reference node, which you can open by right-clicking and choosing Reference, List Edits. But you can also save the changes in offline files, which are somewhat similar to deltas for referenced models in Softimage. We'll animate our zombie's neck control with a few keys. And then choose File, Export to Offline File. You can create either an Edit MB or Edit MA file, which is saved in your current project's Scenes Edits folder by default. But we'll save it in our Reference folder just to keep everything together. If you create an offline file for every change you make, you can create a library of animation edits. Then you can assign only the edits you want to another instance of the same referenced file, such as the zombie who's in another scene. Choose File, Assign Offline File, select the file, and then assign it to the referenced file. For more information, see the video Exporting and Importing Offline Edits on the Maya Learning channel. And for more details on referencing files in general, see the Maya help on this topic.